to Connected with Cari here on this Saturday, June 15th. Can you believe it's already June's like gone almost like, and tomorrow it'll be July. So that'll be that. Thank you for everyone who's tuning in this evening. I know the Oilers game is on. So if you're in Alberta and you're tuning in, I appreciate it so very much because I know some of you would rather be watching the game, which is fine. Some of you can come back and rewatch this later, which would be awesome. So when you do come back and rewatch it later, by all means, give it a like and a share if you can. If you're watching live right now, thank you for tuning in. Please make sure if you have any questions, comments, please write them down below and we will get them to it. You know, sometime during the show, if we're in conversation, I will try and look over and get some comments in as we can. So yeah, we're live through Just TV, Just FM, the Underground Radio C platform. We are also live through the Roku station 101. We're also live through the NCG television network in Italy. So literally all across the world. We have a special guest this evening. If you saw the posts that I've been making over the past few days, you will know who the guest is. However, sometimes with the posts, I like to give a little bit in the captions, not necessarily give it all, just so there's a little bit of mystery to the guests so that you guys can tune in and learn a little bit more about who they are, because that's what the show is about, of course. So yeah, this evening, very cool, very honored to have the Coach Harp with us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on the show.
You're very welcome. So first of all, I'll just say it right now, but Coach Harp and I, we are now partners through the Underground Radio C platform and with the Kids Play Foundation. We'll tell you a little bit about that as we go along and some of the stuff we will be doing together. So you may have seen that post up already. We also have a little surprise at the end of the show that we will let you all in on, because we haven't exactly released some information yet, but we'll give a little hint to it. Do you think?
I think that should be a good idea.
Okay, so we will start right off the hop. If you want to give a formal introduction of who Coach Harp is, that would be so amazing.
Thank you. Where do I start? Who is Coach Harp? Coach Harp is an immigrant who came to Canada back in 1975. I've dealt with a lot of bullying. I've dealt with a lot of racism. Then I started playing football. Through football, I started realizing it helps you to really get along with people, working through adversity, and being able to be a teammate. As growing up, I was an angry child. And then from there, I played football about from ages of 12 years old to 34. From there, it also taught me to be in games where the students are losing 80-0, 70-0. It builds a character of who you are. Through there, I've also have a professional job where I also work for aviations, where I'm ambassador for them. I'm ambassador for many different things. Through there, I also learned that from working with high-risk youth for 35 years, there's a need. The need is that we need to come together as a community and be able to really share a lot, mentor them, and help them grow. As going through that, I've had my own personal journeys where I had a lot of mental breakdowns in the past, stuff like that. But what you realize is who you really are, who your integrity is, who your character is. You mess up in life sometimes, which I have, and you get back up again. Like, here's another great opportunity to speak to all you guys and females to share a little bit my background and how adversity will knock you down sometimes, but you always get yourself back up.
So this Coach Harp, as you will. Now, we've had a few discussions really about what you do, who you are, what you've been doing for the community. But really, let's go back just a little bit and really dig into who you are. Now, you have said you were an only child and you came into, you were an immigrant. So when you came here to Canada, was it your parents that brought you over, or was it yourself? What was the main reasoning of coming over here?
my birthplace is in India, so my dad was here in Canada before us. So I would have been the first generation coming from India to Canada. I came with my mom, and it was quite an interesting journey.
So basically, he came for work, you would say,
A better lifestyle and work, yes.
a better lifestyle. Okay.
Because if we were back home, we'd be farmers back home, basically.
Okay. Just checking my internet because I'm hearing that it's a bit slow, which is how it happens. It's live, folks. That's usually what happens. So if I'm a little blurry or a bit slow, I apologize because maybe it's everyone that's watching the game around me. So it's all good. So when you have your parents decide, okay, he's like, we're going to move to, well, you were already, no, your dad was already here and you guys came over.
Yes.
Um, what were your feelings towards this? Were you really excited and you're like, okay, this is an amazing opportunity? How did you really feel about that situation?
At the age I would never know because I was about 4 years old. So
Okay.
it was definitely as going to school. It was a bit of a struggle trying to fit in. I couldn't quite fit in a lot of groups because English was a tough language for me to understand. So back home, I mean, home in my home in Vancouver, BC, we spoke Punjabi more. So it was a bit of a struggle because you go to school, try to learn English, but your primary language is Punjabi. So it was a bit of a struggle there.
So that struggle, would you say, because you said that, you were kind of bullied in school when you came over and everything. So do you think that had a lot to do with because you didn't know English very well?
Um, Probably because I look different maybe because a lot of the kids were wearing designer wears. I'd be wearing like Zeller shoe, like stuff from Zeller's, like Wrangler jeans, stuff like that. Not one of the cool kids. Easy target, perhaps, maybe, I think.
Okay. Sorry. Just seeing how we're doing for, just seeing how our internet connection is doing. Okay. I think we're doing a little bit better. All right. So one of the things that I want to get into was how did you decide to get into, doing some of the stuff for the youth? Because I know, like you said, there is this pattern in our youth today where it's like, okay, maybe they feel left out or, maybe they just didn't get called on in gym class. What was that main priority of yours that was like, okay, you know what, this is what I want to do in life. I feel like this is my path. How did you come across that?
How I came across it was my own personal journeys, like high school, elementary, up to senior high school. And I said, I don't want any child to go through this stuff like that. And I started to really getting good with my school and academics in grade 10. I got the most improved academics. And then from there, what really helped me to get to where I wanted to know who I was as a human being was sports. The understanding of how to work together and how to go through adversity. And also, why did I choose to coach schools that had immigrant students? Because it related to my background. I went through some of those feelings. So it's a lot easier to speak to somebody who has actually gone through those feelings. And dealing with high risk youth, they're not high risk youth. They're just looking for some guidance from adults. That's it.
Hmm. Yeah. I think that's really important that they actually have that kind of an outlet where, being a mentor, being a coach, I think kids definitely look up to someone like that because you're an authority figure. You're not necessarily like their parent, but I think people can look up to you and kind of relate sort of as a parent, but without that authority. And I think kids can build that trust and go, okay, yeah, coach is really cool and I can be able to open up to him. And he seems like, he's with us on the field. You're creating that type of a bond and that type of, a friendship, but yet a trusted authority figure as well. Can you say that there's been a lot of kids that have come up to you and said, hey, you really made a difference in my life? Do you have a couple stories in that situation?
I have quite a few stories, but one particular one that basically sticks in my mind was I had a player that wanted to quit on the football team because you got to look at this. It took us 3 years to turn this football program around. It's where you're standing on the sidelines, losing 70-0, 80-0. It creates who you are as a coach, and the children are watching that. What are you going to do? Are you going to stick with them? Or are you going to walk out on them? This previous school had coaches actually walk out on the kids while they're losing 80-0. So a lot of the kids just say to me, Coach, why do you come here? Why do you coach? I say, because I care about you guys. So remember, coaching high school football takes a lot of your time, Monday to Friday. And building that trust with the children doesn't come right away. So the year we had a team finally, it would take us like 9 players, 10 players. So we were struggling to make a team come out. So basically, it took us 3 years to get a good, decent team. From there, one of the greatest players that I coached wanted to quit the team. I said, can you please just stick this season around for me just one time? That's it. He said, okay, coach. Well, that year, he ended up being the MVP player. And plus, we also end up winning a Div 3 championship. And that same player plays professional football at this current time.
That's incredible. Because I think that's what it is. I think, kids on their own, they need that path. Like they need to have that direction and just like the guidance, but also going, just someone to root for them, ideally, right? We all can kind of see that they have that spark that they're, maybe they are, I think if they're the main player or they're the team coach, or not the team coach, team captains, I think that puts a lot of pressure on them. So I think in that scenario, I think they need that good push of going, okay, I've got your back as a coach and you can do this and you can get the team on, whatever, because I think that's a huge responsibility for just like a captain to be able to have that. So, and then I think also, like you said, maybe that can lead to some mental health because they're like, oh, they feel that responsibility, that heaviness of the whole team on them. So what are some of the things that, you could do for that type of a scenario? Like, would you take them aside and go, hey, like you're doing a really good job? What are some of the ways that you've helped build them up in those situations?
Well, one of the things I used to do first is ask him, how's your home life? That's very important because if you don't ask the child about his home life, that child will think that you don't care about them. Become a friend and really be there for them. And then they'll start opening up more. And also from coaching high school football to high level football, what I also realize is the players play for the coach. Do you see that? Players will play for the coach. So it all depends how the team will come and gel together.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I want to know, so did you first coach or did you play American football first? What was the...
Because the thing is, why I say American football is because I've been on a lot of South Asian channels.
Okay.
So they don't understand what Canadian football is, right? So they American football. Because when you say football, Europe, everybody else thinks it's soccer.
Right.
So the only way distinction they can figure, oh, it's American football. Okay, so that's where it's a lot easier to make them understand.
Mm-hmm.
I first played football. I didn't play football because I was fit. I played football because I was fat. So, and basically it allowed me to, that's what I mean. You see the team environment thing with football is it's not about your age, size, or what you look like. Is that you put the effort into it. Everything in life, you got to earn it. It's not given to you.
Yeah, I can feel that for sure. I know, like, I think when you have a goal and you set for it and you're like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to play for this team, whatever. And especially the youth, I think they need that guidance going, okay, this is my end goal. How do I get there? So as a coach, you can be like, okay, this is the starting point. Maybe they are in junior high or elementary. I don't know how young kids can be to play football. I think it's pretty young here. So then that way they can build their way up to play professionally along those lines. Now you have met, or you actually know, a lot of professional athletes, especially here in Calgary, a lot of the Stampeders. Have you met anyone of those players that have been through some of the challenge that we talk about?
We what I try to do is we try to do extra stuff for the players. For example, one of the things we're trying to do for the Stampeders is that we're trying to get them a bigger audience. So we're creating more awareness. So we take them to a South Asian media channel where they get to understand. Again, this is where we're going to use American football to under, teach them about Canadian football. Um, it's basically their stories they have. It's very powerful on why they play and why they stuck with the sport.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Like, think that's a lot of pressure when, I think not just the pressure of just being a football player, but having to, I think it's so generalized in a way where it's like, okay, you think as the player, oh, everyone should know who I am or whatever. But the other cultures, like you said, the Asian community, maybe the Filipino community, some other communities that are new to Canada don't really know about the sport. So when we have these other players on, other podcasts, other channels, whatever they're doing, I think it's a great idea. So they go, okay, they are now involved in those communities going, this is what our Canadian culture has to offer. Like, it's fun. It's awesome. We have these amazing sports. And then the kids can go, hey, this football player was, on this channel or this podcast, and it was amazing. I really like this guy. And then hopefully that gives them that opportunity to meet them, maybe in person, or have the chance to perhaps go to a game in the future. And also the chance to be like, hey, like he could be my mentor, right? So these are the kind of things I think that you are kind of reaching for with the Kids Play Foundation. So I want to go into the Kids Play Foundation. I really want to know, how you got onto the board of directors and what are a lot of the goals that Kids Play have for the youth.
Well, Kids Play was started by a VPD police officer. His name is Cari out of Vancouver. He wanted to create something where there's a program, a system into place, trying to keep kids safe away from gangs, drugs, and violence. So he started Kids Play Foundation in 2015. I was still coaching football here in Calgary, stuff like that. Another police officer reached out to me here in Calgary. He saw my profile and to say, Coach, would you like to help with Kids Play? I said, sure. So I started with Kids Play 2019 as a volunteer because it resonates with me a lot that we need to do stuff with our roots from where we come from because it's identity of who we are. Through Kids Play, what we've done is we have a lot of programs because I'm a director of program for Kids Play here in Calgary. And one of the things I've learned is we got to develop new programs because you go with sports. We initially started with sports, then we started going into creative night. We're looking at going to music, art therapy, because how do you reach a child? Not everyone's going to like sports. Our goal is to keep the child safe, build the next leaders of tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's the diversity of the programs is super important because, like you said, not everyone likes sports or they're comfortable with maybe their bodies or images during sports. Maybe they aren't built the same as the other kids and they don't want to feel intimidated. But also to have other outlets, like you said, other events that they can go to, some creative stuff. I think that's important as well. But also, I think as we get into more of building the youth up, I think they need to understand sometimes that maybe just try a sport. Maybe they'll actually like it and realize that, they're not the only ones out there that may feel awkward or, how they might be looked at because of skin color or their cultural differences. So I think Kids Play is really neat to be able to bring in the diversity of the children. Give us some examples of, the diversity that you have found through Kids Play.
Kids Play has actually helped me mentally grow as an individual myself too, because every day is a new thing with Kids Play. What we do is we're looking at some programs where we do read a book with a police officer, with a professional. We're also looking at getting some athletes reading books to the youth. We're Because what we need to do is we need to be creative. We need to be very interesting. One of the things one of the youth told asked me one time is, Coach, we have a very hard time trusting adults. Now think about that for a sec. Why?
Why do you think?
Oh yeah.
These poor kids, you know?
It's because their parents are not in tune with them.
Yeah.
Because their parents are either on their phone,
Hmm.
or their parents are more worried about Saturday, Sunday coming up. So
Yeah.
the child gets left out. So it takes a lot to nurture grow a child.
Hmm.
Sometimes coaches become the assistants because they see the coach there. The coach is pushing them. We're not taking the position of a parent. We're just basically pillars in the community trying to say, here's a trusted source that you can lean on. And together we can work together. Because kids play as a motto. The motto is, it takes a village to raise a child. We are that village.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is very true. You do need to have a whole team per se to be able to help each other, support each other, and grow that community all together. And then I think the kids see that, right? They're like, okay, and to have the continued support at home is is very important. So then that way they're feeling it at home and then outside the home, and then they can bring that spirit into, say, their schools or into maybe some other sports or what other community activities that they may happen to be in. I also want to talk a little bit about your other partners that you have, specifically Kids Up Front and what you're doing with them.
Well, Kids Up Front, what it is, they're a nonprofit charity, and then what we do is we work with them. Together, what we do is we try to give tickets, go to like CFL games or NHL games. The whole purpose is there's a lot of families who cannot afford to go to watch these games because you look at a ticket, like a hockey ticket's like $300, right? So we like to work with families to get the same experience who have kids under the age of 18 who want to take their kids out to watch the Stamps play or to go watch the Flames or also watch a Roughneck game or watch a Wrangler game and a Hitman game. And then also not only that, we also are involved in many different things where we feel to tackle mental health, you have to attack the house. And this is a great way of parents to get involved with their children.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I noticed is that so we had an opportunity to be able to go to an event. Well, you were part of an event recently, and I came and I showed up, and then we got to meet someone else there. And he was saying that one of his friends was a single parent and he got tickets to be able to go to a game. And that dad, like the child of that dad, was just so happy. And of course, it was a single dad. So, like you said, it's very hard for them to be able to sometimes get the extra money to be able to go to games. So, by being able to do that, you're creating more of that bond for that child and the father and be able to share in those memories together and be like, yeah, the kid can grow up and be like, Dad, I've got pictures from that game. And do you remember that? And it was so incredible because they're building that together, which is one of the greatest things that you can ever do for a father and child or a mother and child. It doesn't matter who it is, but for that parent and that child or children in that specific case. So, which is really cool to kind of see that being able to come together and have those, they can grow up and share those stories together moving forward for, until they're 18 at least, right? So that's kind of the coolest thing, I think, to be able to see. What are some of the other stories that you have seen from those situations?
Well, we get a lot of letters from a lot of the parents who are brand new to Canada say, Coach, we got a football game, we don't know what it is. Did I buy the right jersey? You know, the smile on their faces, it's phenomenal. And some of the stories I sent off to some of these organizations, it's really touching what these tickets mean to families and their children. It's like mind blowing, you know? And even coming to a game, which I realized personally myself, was I was at a Surge basketball game just with the leaders. We brought about 180 families to no, let's get that correct. We had 180 tickets that we gave out with our partner. From there, we had so many people come up. This is the person, we're here because of him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really humbling experience
Yeah.
when parents will come, stop by, and the kids will shake your hand. Now you tell me, what's the price on that?
Yeah. Oh, well, priceless, right? That's
Yeah.
it. Just knowing that you're doing something good for the community, but then the kids are like, yeah, this is the guy that I got to meet, and he, was at the game, and we had a lot of fun, and this is what we got to do. And that's like, again, it's one of those opportunities where it's so priceless and the kids can remember it like forever. What are some of the things that you would like to plan in the future or have in the works for kids play?
Well, we like to get going to maybe do camps, like to also do some um, possibly work on maybe working with another, like maybe Kananaskis here in Calgary, do maybe horseback riding for the kids. Do also go into a leadership summit for the youth too. This is all in the works right now.
Okay, what kind of leadership summit would you be looking at?
Just getting their physical skills, be able to maybe perhaps, let's say for example, we go outside, we have a rope, and we blindfold everybody, and the leader has to move everybody through an obstacle. This will teach the youth how to project their voice. If
Yeah.
nobody moves, then it's feedback to you, correct?
Uh-huh. Absolutely. I think those are like a trust exercise and the leadership programs that they do those, which again, it builds up that character for the child and the leadership skills. And I think especially for men, because I think they need to have that leadership role and that responsibility to lead others, especially, if they decide to be, say, an entrepreneur in the future and they have to run a team, or maybe they get promoted in their office one day and they can, again, lead their team, or it goes right into, the cultures of, being a family man. Like if, he's married and has children, he gets those leadership skills to be able to help, with his family and leading them in the proper ways, right? So we want to be able to instill all those values and those virtues into the young men. So what about the ladies now? What kind of leadership skills are you teaching the ladies?
I believe in 50-50. Like we got to have a very diversified leadership group, and a lot of the kids play senior leads. Females are stepping up in their roles of who they are and what they do. And a lot, just to give you an idea, we did a hockey event. We had more females show up to the hockey event than guys. So we are making an impact.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing. Excuse me, that's the thing too, ladies. Again, there's a lot of women entrepreneurs out there nowadays. There's mothers. They have to, lead the household, lead the children. So there's very many qualities of a leader, and like you said, both the men and women in our worlds, which is very important these days. But I think it's the positivity and creating a leader that is strong and reliable, trustworthy, and someone that, can stand their worth and be like, okay, I'm a leader, this is my role, and be comfortable in their roles. Because as you said, coach, that, there are the youth that are growing up and they're dealing with the mental health issues. And that's a big stress on a lot of kids these days. So you can imagine, having that stressful life and then growing up and getting married, and that goes on to the children and things like that. So I think nipping it in the bud, as they say, is probably one of the better strategies. Would you say?
I agree with you. If you can't change the generation that's already here, like for example, for we deal with how to keep kids away from gang members, stuff like that. Well, if you can't change a generation, well, what do? You start with the new generation, anywhere from the ages from 2 years old to 18, 19. And then what ends up happening, you start installing some of these values in a lot of these youth. And you wouldn't believe how much potential they have in them They just need that person behind them to give them that confidence, to be that mentor you said, and also let you know kids play is not run by adults. It's for the youth, run by the youth.
And I saw that when I got to go and see some tables set up at some of the events. I was really impressed, I'd have to say, because as I walked into the events, the table is set up. One event they had the canopy over top of the table and there was the kids. They were all, some of them were at the table and some were helping, being involved, especially the basketball at the Genesis Center. The kids were out there and they were helped to set up the event and they were had their pennies on and kids play. They were very proud. They looked like they were having a lot of fun in the events, getting all the kids together and just you could see the smiles on their faces and you can kind of see what type of impact that it's starting to have on the children. And it's one of those things that I think I see that it's a proud moment, but it's not like an ego proud. It's like a proud moment where they're like, yeah, like I'm a team leader. I'm part of this community. Like you can see just those faces just glowing. What are some of the feedback that you've had from these kids? What's probably one of the greatest compliments you've received?
From the leads that we have for kids play, well, some of the stuff for the leads is that they say thank you for being here for us, and you're a big part of where we're moving forward. See, like again, a pillar understands it's a pillar of a foundation. So what does it do? It's supposed to steer people into the right direction. And yes, as you mentioned earlier about giving tickets to the families, well, life happens. As adults, it's not great. We get busy with work, stuff like that. And then moving forward, these tickets will also help the families, the parents start building that communication with their children, which is so lost because we have so many stories from high schools that will blow your mind that how these kids are having issues at schools. And the bullying these days, wow, it's something else.
Mm. Yeah, there's a lot of stories out there that gets to your heart when you hear, they're being bullied at school. And then I think it goes right back to what you said. Kids get bullied for the way they look a lot of times. Maybe their skin color, especially what they wear. It's incredible, that just a brand name on a kid can make them get bullied, which is a horrible situation, but it can happen, right? That's just part of life growing up. But I think it's teaching your child, be comfortable in what you're wearing and stand up for yourself, because it's not what you have on, but it's what's inside that truly counts for children, but they don't know that at that age. So giving those tools to be able to go, hey, okay, let's learn how to stand up for yourself. And, maybe teaching those children as well how to stand up for others, not just themselves as well. So we've got a question as well. So how about the super fan of Raptors? Okay, so there's some super fan of Raptors. Have you heard about that?
Yes, super. I think what they're pertaining to is I received an award. It's called the Outstanding Award,
Okay.
Achievement Award, and the presenter was a super fan from the Raptors.
Oh,
So
well, tell
what
us about that.
what that means is become a servant leader. A lot of people say volunteering, you get nothing out of it. They say I won't do volunteering because I don't make money. Well, I don't make anything. Well, guess what? Look at the relationships you build. It's a foundation of becoming humble. It's also a foundation of for you to also become a servant leader. When people realize, even organizations, sports teams will realize that becoming a humble servant leader and you create value for them, they want to surround yourself around champions.
That's super cool. That's awesome. Okay. Along those lines, as you're creating these communities and everything, now we've talked a lot about Canada, but Kids Play is not just here, it's actually over in Bangladesh as well. So do you want to talk a little bit about that as well?
Kids Play is in Canada. We're in BC, Alberta, Ontario, and internationally we're in India, Punjab. We are in Colombia. We are in Uganda, and we just opened up Kids Play this year in Bangladesh.
How did that happen? What was the steps to be able to go, hey, we want to have Kids Play over here, and what are the benefits of having it over there for them?
What we say is don't worry about how Canada looks like, because they see these teams that we're partner up with. Our philosophy is one child at a time, not 100.
It's like one step at a time.
Yes.
In the right directions. This is the one, keep working on one at a time, and eventually it all kind of bonds together and it creates that community, like you said.
Yes.
Builds that village, right?
Yep.
So those of you who are watching, Coach, can you tell us how we can get into a game, or, there's like the tailgate parties, things like that. Can you go into a little bit of detail on those as well?
Depending where you guys are in the world, if you're in Calgary here, you could actually go into Kids Play and request a form on how to become a volunteer, and we will send you a form on how to become a volunteer. And also, if you have children under the age of 18 are not able to go to a game, send us your email, the age of the child, and basically we'll add you to our email list.
And it's also not just for yourself, but if you know someone in that situation as well, then you can go, hey, there's this, because I myself, I've known a couple families that are in that same boat, and I've sent them information going, hey, there's this game coming up, there's this coming up. Actually, do you want to just quickly go through a few things that are coming up here we're in June still. So maybe the rest of June and a bit of July?
Rest of June, okay. We are.
I put you on the spot.
Again, this is Calgary pertain related. We are doing a soccer event with the Calgary Police. We do have we are social media, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And just for Calgary, our email in Calgary is Calgary Foundation at kidsplay.com. And then from there, you'll be able to request more stuff from us. And some of the things that we are doing here in July and August, we are just in the middle of doing an 8-week program with Calgary Sports Entertainment, which we're going to have the Calgary Flames over at Genesis Center, where we're going to have Calgary Flames at Genesis Center, and we're going to have the Calgary Roughnecks over at Genesis Center. All our programs for the youth are free.
Right. I will be posting it as well. So if you miss any of the Kids Play Foundation stuff, it'll be over on Underground Radio C and probably up on Just TV as well. I'll probably just sneak it up there and a few little posts so you guys don't miss it, because I think these are the opportunities that are going to help our communities grow. They're going to help the children grow. And it's going to be great because it's not just the Canadians, but like the new Canadians, the immigrants coming in, they can start feeling like they're at home. They're going to open up and they're going to feel like, okay, yeah, they're welcome. And then they can go and tell their other friends at schools or in their communities about what's going on, so that they don't feel like, they're not welcome here. Because of course they are welcome, and that's what we want. We want that community, right? The village. Put the poles up and get the village all together. I always imagine like everyone grabbing like a side of a house and slapping it together, right? That's what I envision. Anyway, before we'll wrap up in a couple minutes, but shall we give them a little bit of information about what we're going to be doing together?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, you just say something. Okay.
I'm just putting you on the spot because, it's so great.
So Kara and I are looking at doing a project together. We haven't figured out the name, or we're going to team up together, and we're going to actually host a podcast where we're going to be bringing professional athletes to any people from the world that can actually create some value and to be able to share their experience, their life stories to bring to you guys.
Mm-hmm. What's going to be really fun? We're like this close to our name. I think we got it though. I'm pretty sure that we have it. we spent weeks wasn't weeks. It was probably like a week bouncing ideas back and forth. But this is an invitation for those of you watching. If you know someone or if you want to be on that podcast, to please let us know. Again, some athletes or those that are making a difference in our communities as well. Any other guests that you think would be value on that show?
Are you asking me that question?
Yes, absolutely.
Through my list of people, I'm sure I could have a list that could come there and be able to share their stories.
Yeah.
Why they play the sport, stuff like that. Like tomorrow, I'm going to a TV show where we're bringing. Right now, the Stamps are playing in BC. Mm-hmm. We're bringing the president of the Stamps, and we're also taking one of their player that's doing really well at the game.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be tomorrow at another TV show, which will be there from like 7 to 8. Why? Because the thing is, this is creating value for the players now too.
Mm-hmm.
People get to hear their stories too, right? It's a thing called giver's game, right? Yeah. We have a lot of takers in this world, but we also got to realize that you could take so much, but the people who give learn how to become very humble, and they want to give and they want to reach to many people and say, hey, let's come together, let's create that village. There's this thing that I say all the time. You could either be a scar in someone's life or you could be a mark in someone's life. The choice is yours.
Oh, that's perfect. That's like just the way to wrap up a show, right on the tee. With that being said, can you please let us know all your socials, where to find you, all that good stuff. And again, the Kids Play information real quick as well.
Okay, on Instagram, we have Kelby Kids Play Foundation. We're on Instagram. We're also on Facebook, and we also have a LinkedIn. And for myself, Coach Harp, we're up and making a brand new website that should be out next week. It'll be www.coach-harp.com. It'll be out next week.
Right. Perfect. That's the thing. When you're under pressure, like you can't think of everything. I'm the same. I try and ramble off my underground Insta handle, and it's underground_radio_C. I've said it so many times. I'm better at it now, but at the beginning I was like always missed like the underscores. So.
Like you're talking about underscore.
Right.
My Instagram is Coach_Harpal on Instagram, and then I also have a Coach Harp Facebook page. See what happens when you're put on the spot. You have to play scramble with your mind, and you forget half the stuff, right?
Right. It's like when you watch like Wheel of Fortune or there's other game shows on TV. You're at home, you can answer them, no problem. But if I'm up on stage, I would probably I'd blow it. I'd lose it all for sure. Well, thank you so much, Coach Harp, for coming on this evening here on Connected with Cari. I really appreciate all your time and your value and your input as well. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on the show. And one of the things I want to remind you people, or even the audience here in the world, is learn to become a servant leader and really give back a humble and really learn how to find your inner treasures within your heart and let it go.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much for those wise words.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in this evening here on Just to Be Just FM, the Roku station 101, NCG Television Network in Italy, Underground Radio C. If you're watching on my LinkedIn, thank you very much for tuning in.
drop that booty down low. Drop that booty down low.
You know what it is. It's your man Jay Woo.
And your girl Chachi La Muñeca from Who Got Next Radio every Tuesday night.
10 p.m. Eastern right here on Just TV via Roku Nationwide live.
From Florida!
That's right. So make sure you tune in every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. More independent artists, more videos, more Black-owned businesses, and more outreaches to the community. And